Hello, beautiful, conscious visionary, change maker, beautiful soul who is here at one of the most tumultuous, confusing, and exciting times in planetary history. I felt like doing a reading for the collective. This is going to be for those who resonate with my frequency, who are working on a similar vibrational frequency and mission, who are here to anchor in the timelines with the most expansive possibilities that are bringing us all into more wholeness, unity, and understanding of ourselves and our connection to the all that is. It is January 30th today, and there's a lot going on in the world. The three energies, the cards that I pulled that are bringing forward just the vibration of the now, are going to be a combination of my own deck that is a redesign of Lisa Michaels' Elemental Oracle. This is only available to my creation coaches in my certification program right now, and it will be available to the public eventually, but we're keeping it for these beautiful coaches right now. And also the Rebecca Campbell Starseed Oracle deck. And I was just drawn to pick these three cards. So the very first one that came through was called Soul Gifts and Training. It is time to step up. Now, there are waves of different calls that people heed, and it's always at the perfect and divine time. I know for myself, I've heard several of them, right? Times to expand, step up, where you're like, whoa, this is what I've been waiting for. This is the time, this is the moment. And right now, especially in Canada, where I live, there are thousands of people who are really like feeling the call to step up and start using their voice and being in this empowered space in the protests and the demonstrations that are happening. Whether or not you are in full agreement with everything that is happening, it's magical to witness people stepping into more of their sovereignty, finding their voice, and saying, you know what? I am a creator. I can use my intention to shift and change things. And this is a very cool catalytic event that is going to set off a chain reaction of a lot of self-expansion, personal development, and really exciting new things are going to come down the line very specifically from this particular event. It is really cool to witness. But there are also people who are hearing the soul calling to step more deeply into their soul-led gifts, who are going, the career that I have right now, it's not feeling like that is the thing that I'm here for. And I feel like for a lot of people, this has been on their heart for a while, and they're finally hearing the, it's time to actually make a move on this, because the fear of doing it is actually not as great as the pain of not doing it, right? When it's something that is on our heart, when it's a soul calling, where it's part of your cosmic trajectory, it can be terrifying to step fully into our soul's calling. And also, it's through moving through that fear into the vastness of that soul calling, that mission of stepping in and fully owning the gifts and your creative power that shifts and changes everything, right? When you start to step into what it is that you are here to do, or just here to do right now, because maybe you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing up until then, and then that thing changed, it shifts everything. It shifts your entire being, and it rearranges reality. And you're typically stepping up a frequency. And so there's all of these new perspectives, and that oftentimes means a whole nother level and layer to heal before it feels safe to go into that. So right now, I'm wanting to just send out love to anybody that is feeling that resistance because you're like, I want to do the thing, and it's scary. I have been there. I have 100% been there with several different soul callings calling me to the next level, where I'm like, no, that's inconvenient. That's for the future time. That's a future me problem to deal with. And then eventually it just gets so hard to hold back that you go, you know what? I'm going to be scared and I'm going to do it anyway. So I am holding space for people who are ready to step into that next level of visionary self, right? The soul gifts, whether it's starting a business, becoming an entrepreneur, or shifting, pivoting your path. There are so many people being called to step up as coach, healer, teacher, or maybe just moving into a new, more aligned direction, because we are constantly evolving and growing, and the things are shifting so fast that it's really quite stagnant for most people to keep doing the exact same thing day in, day out for years and years and years. It's okay if you only started doing something and you've only done it for a while and you're like, you know what, I feel like it's time to move in a different direction. My interests have changed. My level of satisfaction with what I'm doing has changed because there's something else calling me. It's time to heed that call, whatever it is. Now, I want to share that at the end of this, I'll give you a tiny taste, and I'll put a link into a masterclass that I'm going to be doing on February 11th about elemental prosperity, because sometimes we need more money and abundance to be able to have the funds for the dreams and the impact that we want to have. And this is also a launch for my conscious creation coach and transformational workshop facilitator certification program for people that want to have their own spiritual academy, who want to be sharing retreats, workshops, online, in-person, one-on-one coaching. This is the space where I actually support people in either building or expanding their business and being able to hold all of it. And those creation coaches are the ones that currently just have access to these cards. Like I said, someday everyone else will have access to them, but for right now, I'm just going to pull out 2 of the elements that we work with in this 5-element deck. So the elements are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. And today I just wanted to talk, after we have this soul calling card, about air and spirit. So air is the mental realm. Spirit is that ineffable, soul spirit. How can you define that? And what was coming through was soaring co-creation. We are being called into greater levels of soaring co-creation. How magical is that? Like, breathe it in. Everybody that's watching this right now is a co-creator. What that means is you're not the only one in charge of what happens in your life in this reality. Sorry to burst your bubble. If you thought you were, that's your ego talking. We are co-creating this reality here right now as humans, as with all of the other intelligent beings on this planet. We are co-creating our experience, right? And in co-creation, there is a beautiful give and receive. There is a need to be able to be in both the divine feminine and the divine masculine, with the movement and the surrender at the same time. Co-creation with spirit especially is to be able to hold all of it and surf the flow of what is, and to be able to dance with it. You can't control the music. It's almost like spirit is the music, right? The co-creation is the music, and you are the dancer. And you get to move as you want to move in a way that feels good for you. And the music is being co-created by everybody through their movements, through their harmony. We actually all, interestingly enough, as beings, have our own frequencies that we emit that have their own richness, their own tones. We also have our own sacred geometry and colors in our light bodies, right? That identify us throughout the multiverse, no matter what incarnation we're in. And you have a sound and everybody else has a sound, many tones. And together we co-create that harmony, right? And right now we have this opportunity for it to be like a cacophony of discord and polarity and all of the sounds just like overwhelming each other. And that's kind of where we're at right now with all of the different polarities. Or maybe we could think about how we are on the cusp of learning how to soar, how to zoom out as the visionaries we are, like zooming out beyond the eagle's perspective, all the way to that highest self connected to the unified field where we can see it for what it is, this harmonious song. Okay, so in the soaring, we get to zoom out to see the higher perspective. And when we do that, when we go into the soaring co-creation, it gives us the capacity to see more and to see that the very things we are fighting about are actually just two sides of the same darn coin. So this soaring card is an example here. If you're looking at this card, you're seeing all of this air and the triangle, the symbol, the energy from it. But all I am seeing, if I'm looking from, the back perspective and say I didn't cheat and look over, is this. I'm still seeing a triangle. I'm still seeing some colors. They're faintly related. But if I were describing this card to you from only my perspective, I would be like saying what it was. I'd be like, yeah, there's triangles and it's green and gold and there's some stars. And you'd be like, what about the mountains? And I'd be like, oh, maybe they look like mountains. Do they look like mountains to you? And then, you'd be like, well, what about the stars? Or I could say, what about the stars? And you'd be like, there's no stars there. Like, what are you talking about? And we might start to fight if we didn't realize we were looking at a different perspective, a different part of the same card. And that is what is happening right now with pretty much everything. People are fighting over one limited perspective that they are looking at, and they're not zooming out to that soaring visionary perspective where they're like, oh, there's more than one way to look at that. There's more than one side. There's information I didn't even know was on here. There's a whole nother picture. I couldn't see that from only looking at that one side. This is where so much of the conflict is coming in right now. There is so much conflict because people are stuck and they're like, I only see this perspective right here, right in front of me. What are you talking about? There is literally no way. There are stars that you can see. You can't see any stars from where I am, so obviously there's no stars. It sounds ridiculous when I'm giving you this example because, look, it's a card. There's only two sides of it. But for those of us that are hanging about in time right now, some people have this capacity to zoom out and see the higher picture, and other people, based upon their experience and their frequency level and their just what they are right now and what they've been taught and everything, they can't see that higher perspective. And so they just want to fight with people going, you're wrong, because I can't see a scenario in which you're right because I'm only looking at one thing. And it can be very frustrating, especially when you too are maybe looking at the same thing from a different perspective. We've had these fights with our friends. I've had this fight with my husband so many times where we'd be actually arguing and fighting about something, and then it's only later with like experience and more understanding and maybe some like new definitions and everybody actually like defining what they're talking about with an operational definition that we go, oh, I think we were actually talking about the same thing, but coming at it from totally different perspectives and angles. We were using different language to describe the same thing, or we were using the same language to describe something different, and we just weren't able to see the totality of it. And this is our greatest opportunity right now. As those who are here to heed those soul gifts and to soar into co-creating the world that we want to see, the life that we want to have, you know, the one where people are free, where people are healthy, where people are safe, and the animals and the land and the planet is being taken care of, and we have what we need, you know, that world that we're all here, that we know in our hearts it's possible, and we get frustrated that it's not. We're here to create that. And we cannot do it if we stay stuck in the arguing with everybody about our one perspective. So I want to invite you as a light leader, as a co-creator, as someone who has the capacity to be a visionary, to when you're looking at someone or something and you're like, oh, this is so wrong, and why can't they just see that? Go, okay, from their perspective and their experience, and from what they know, their education, their ancestry, right? Everything. From what they know and understand, that's what they can see, right? So maybe I can zoom out and see if I can, it's not even empathize with it, but understand that there's another viewpoint. If you can empathize with that person, have compassion, or like put yourself in their shoes and like try it on, even better, right? Because we are all these fractals of the infinite who actually, if we go all the way back, are actually from that same source, having all of these different experiences on purpose, right? And our journey right now is to come together to understand how it's all like one hand with different branches being the fingers, right? We're all in that tree of life with the different branches and buds, just having these varied experiences, but it's the same experience from different angles. That was the whole point of this entire incarnate experiment, right? To experience things, be in the same place at the same time, and have different experiences and see it from all vantage points. And so, we need to breathe. Take a breath with me. Because I know we get so passionate because we see things and understand things from our point of view, and the visionary goes beyond that, right? Just want to read what Christine's saying here. I've seen this for so long, it sometimes makes one want to smack their head against a wall. It's almost as though every topic is fought about and it's always the same. Yes, this is a universal human experience. Oh my goodness. It is. It's so frustrating to be like, we are thinking about it in a totally different way. If only you could take my eyeballs and see it from my perspective. Also, they would have to admit to self what they see and have experiences actually viewable from multiple perspectives, which I have found many fear the feeling of expansion. The narrow view has become like a blanket to them of how they experience life. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that expansion as though it's a choice, but also until you know it's a choice, or you have it happen to you just by some virtue of circumstances, or because it was ready for you, like, is it really a choice? If you don't understand that you can expand, we can empower people, we can model for people, we can do it for ourselves and let the vibrational frequency ripple out into the collective. That's a soul gift, by the way. Many of you have this calling. The soul gift in training is to do things for you and then let it ripple out. That's part of the co-creation, by the way, because we can't control other people, but we can be the example. We can hold the example of what it looks like to expand and hold multiple points of view. And also, we can share ours. We can gently offer the perspective, right? There's quite a few people right now who are seeing in black and white. Let's use this trucker convoy as an example. And they're like, freedom is amazing. And there are other people that are going like, there are some concerning ties to white supremacy, and there are people literally with Nazi flags and Confederate flags running around spewing some hateful rhetoric. And they're like, no, not all truckers, not all people in this convoy. They're not part of this. They're the bad apples. And it's like, yes, and what if we could hold the fact that it's all of it right now? It's not good versus evil. We're not even lumping you in to that thing saying you're a white supremacist. We're saying, hey, there's ties to this. And one Nazi flag at a protest it's too many, right? Like, it's okay to go, we all want freedom, and some of these things are concerning, and we would need to address them instead of going, not us. It's giving, like, not all men are like that. Yeah, but a lot of men, right? We learned that with the Me Too movement, right? There's this specific defensiveness when someone's like, but that's not me. And also, doesn't mean we get to ignore things that are ready to be illuminated, right? This is part of that soaring, co-creative energy, is to use that empowerment, that voice that we have, our soul gifts, to illuminate and be the light and be like, and what would we like instead, right? Christine, you had some other amazing comments here, but they're going pretty quickly. And whenever I move my camera, whenever I'm like scrolling, they're doing some weird things. I like this idea. Christine is saying, if we could somehow get the education system to incorporate a perspective class where they teach multiple perspectives and how to see them. Higher education does that in certain programs that are really undervalued in terms of their value, basically, right, for money. I have a degree in sociocultural anthropology, and it was actually pretty much literally what it was. It was a degree in understanding that there are different perspectives for the same thing. Like, I literally studied this and have my BA in understanding human nature. So it is easier for me. And it was so wildly fascinating to learn, 20 years ago. I went to university a long time. I graduated in 2005. 20 years ago, where I was learning way before it was in the mainstream that, wow, not everybody in society in all over the world considers gender to be this binary, right? Food, medicine, like child rearing, relationships, social roles. There are so many different ways that it can show up. But the really cool thing was, the more that I studied it, the more that I understood that they were just different expressions of the same thing. And there was so much in common, even through the differences. So that is not something that is taught at the lower levels of education yet. And also, maybe it could. And maybe this is something that is a gift from social media. Because, especially if we were to tweak the algorithms a little bit, but what if you didn't only see the things that were exactly what you liked, but they also threw you some like opposites, like it would be cool to have a TikTok app that brought you more of the exact opposite of your opinion and the things that you like as well, just to diversify what you are seeing. And sometimes that happens anyway, and you go, wow, right? I have seen so much of the world through that lensing, through people just sharing their experience. And the things that I know to be true are that most people, no matter what you see in the media, they're innately good, right? And they are here because they want to share their soul gifts, even if their soul can't remember yet. Remember, we've got different waves of awakening to that understanding that people are here to co-create, right? Not everybody is there yet. And also, it is where we are heading. You can see it with all the children that are here on this planet. You can see it with the massive amounts of people that are here right now as well. So it is very exciting. Ooh, Christine, you're coming in with all the great ideas today. Can you imagine building an app that's designed to trigger people and then it helps them navigate those triggers? What if we're the app? What if we are the app? What if for some of us, and I can say this what if because I exist in this field, one of my soul gifts and soul callings as a soaring visionary co-creator in this reality is to trigger the F out of people. And very often it will be women that are close to me, and that I've been friends with, family with, and I will show up just as me, and then they'll be like, I can't do that right now, and that is very uncomfortable, so you are actually an a-hole for showing up in your shiny light. And you know what? You're a delusional piece of garbage, because not everything is as you say it is, because I'm on my perspective right now, and I can't possibly see that maybe you are authentically you right now, instead of you are trying to actually hurt me with just the way you're living, by living your dreams and being, happy. I have been that trigger for people. I've been triggers for people in so many ways. And it's a pain in the butt. And also, it's not a personal thing. A trigger is a gift, like you're saying, Christine, right? A trigger is an opportunity for people to go, what is this inside of me? And go, okay, it's some kind of wounding, ancestral childhood. Like, I don't know where it's from. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it's time to look at it and to heal it, if they so choose, right? There is a really beautiful book, and I will leave you with this. I'll have one more thing to say after summarizing the vibrational reading for this week. There's a book by Neale Donald Walsh. There's a children's book called Little Soul and the Sun. And this book is a really beautiful expression of what I've always known to be as a soul truth. And I'm not gonna give a spoiler, but maybe on a live someday I will read it for you. And it is the best explanation about why people are the way they are, when we all know that they are divine light incarnate. So I would highly recommend, if that piques your interest and you want to know, read it. And yeah, I'm gonna read it for you someday on one of these lives. So to summarize, more and more people, including you right now, are being called into greater levels of your soul gifts as a soaring visionary who can see more than one perspective, as a co-creator of this reality, right? We, across the board, are being called to understand that we have power through our voice, through our actions, through our dollars, through our beingness, right? And people are really waking up to their power right now, and it's really exciting. And let's hold space for people to be able to soar into that space of being able to see more than one side at the same time. And let us hold space for ourselves to, when we are feeling like we are at odds with somebody, to go, am I soaring right now? Or am I feeling very stuck in this limited perspective, arguing that my way or the highway, right? That only I am correct, right? I still do this all the time. Oh, wait a sec. It's not just my perspective, right? There's 25 sides to every card. The higher frequency you go, the easier it is to see the all of it. So let's continue to be gentle with ourselves and with other people, to have compassion for us in this really exciting, terrible, difficult, amazing time here on this planet. I love you so much for being here with me on this reading right now. If you are feeling like part of your role and part of your soul gifts is to be a voice, is to be able to share as a coach, as a healer, as a leader, and bring people into experiences where they can connect with their own intuition, in their own divinity, with each element, and understand themselves more, do join me for that masterclass on February 11th, or reach out for more information about the Conscious Creation Coach certification, where I walk people through and hold space for them to be able to do this with others as well. Because I think right now we need everybody who's feeling that soul calling to step up and be like, yep, it's me. If it's on your heart, let me know. Reach out with a DM or a message. And I will make the link to that masterclass starting February 11th. We'll go through more of the elements and how you can work with them for your own personal, purposeful, and professional prosperity, right? your own life, bringing in more abundance, more prosperity, more money. How do you open to that? You'll get your own messages. How can you connect to your purpose in terms of abundance and prosperity for the planet? And how can you step into that if you are a coach or healer, or you're wanting to be, and bring that into your business? Like, all of these things are so much fun to play with and in and with you. So thank you so much. I'm just going to say, Christine, all the amazing ideas. I would highly invite you to do some journaling and write down some of these awesome ideas and see what else is flowing through, because you are tapped into the muse right now. She's just saying, ooh, a triggered game where you can play with a group of people like Cards Against Humanity, but navigating a trigger adventure, next year's game of the year. Yes! Me and my friends would play that if you create it, or if you find people to create it with. So, beautiful souls, have a wonderful rest of your night. And if anyone is just tuning in right now, here is the reminder. The energy for right now that is manifesting is the soul calling. Listening to that soul calling. Be prepared to walk through that portal, that doorway to the infinite, and become that soaring, visionary co-creator of this reality, so we can have some freaking fun together. All my love.